Well, this is it. The last call is finally here. In front of me is the Dodge Demon 170, the fastest production car you can buy down the quarter mile. No, it's not an exotic car. It's not a Bugatti Veyron or an electric vehicle accelerating that fast. This is a Dodge Challenger. Today, we're gonna find out what has been changed from an engineering point of view, and then we're gonna see what it's like to drive. I'm very excited about this. My friend just took delivery of this Dodge Demon 170 in front of me. Make sure to follow him on social media. I'll have his info in the description down below and floating on the screen right now. But let me give you a tour of the vehicle. Let's pop the hood and then get inside to see what it's like. Is it the best muscle car of all time? I can't wait to find out. So we need to talk about what this vehicle means. As you guys know, I think Dodge really kicked off the ultimate muscle car horsepower race between them and Ford, even Chevy with their Camaro, because if you look back to around, what, 2014, 2013, you had the 660 horsepower GT500. Then Dodge made the 707 horsepower Dodge Challenger Hellcat. Flash forward through all the years, these brands really went head on against each other. It seemed like the greatest time to be a muscle car enthusiast, right? We have the 760 horsepower Shelby GT500, and then Dodge also came out with the Dodge Demon back in 2018 or so, which was a 9-second quarter-mile muscle car with a factory TransBrake and drag strip technology to maximize straight line acceleration. They were the king, they still are the king of the drag strip. They're going all out for the muscle car scene of raw power and straight line performance versus what Ford and Chevy are trying to do to create more of a European-inspired American muscle car meant for the corners. Since we're going all to EV, all electric, we have to make one final send-off, a last call for enthusiasts to get a piece of history, a piece of ICE, internal combustion engine, powered muscle cars that can take down the electric vehicles. So this can go down the drag strip in 8.91 seconds at 151.17 miles per hour. It blows my mind. It's faster than really anything else down the drag strip. So I can't wait to see videos of this going against like Tesla Plaids. This has got 1,025 horsepower. So let's start off with the front end of the vehicle. It's a familiar place when you're looking at Dodge Challengers, but they've changed quite a few things here. Gary actually did put on the black edition painted front hood panel, which is a couple extra $1,000. I'll put over the screen right now. I do know that you can get both the hood and the roof line, both with the black painted finish for extra money on top of that, for a starting price of a little over $100,000, and then maxed out close to $130,000+. It's actually not that bad when you consider how expensive a lot of these American performance cars are getting. The Kingpin Mustang now, the Mustang GTD, is a $300,000+ Ford Mustang. Yet this is gonna be much faster down the drag strip, of course, and it's got more power, 1,025 horsepower on E85. Interestingly though, with that power output on ethanol, it will actively adjust to the percentage of ethanol content you have to give you a different horsepower output. So if you roll up to the gas station and put in California 91 octane, it's going to be able to read that it doesn't have a certain percentage of ethanol combined with the fuel, so it will limit the power down. Standard on E10, it'll be around 900 horsepower. With torque, you're getting 945 pound-feet of torque, which is incredible for a vehicle like this. This is not a truck. You know, some trucks can get 1,000 pound-feet of torque. This is not a truck. This is a muscle car. So all that torque is going to propel you right out of the dig. Now, let's talk even further about the airflow going on at the front end of this vehicle. This is the air grabber hood that you actually originally saw with the Dodge Demon, the first generation model, grabbing all that airflow. I'm also a fan of the air catcher headlights right here that's going to be feeding more airflow straight from the front fascia through this hollowed out headlight. It's really cool finding the ways manufacturers and engineers figure out to maximize airflow, because airflow is everything, especially for the cooling factor of this engine. One funny thing though is you still have the typical designed front splitter down below that you've seen with the Hellcat red eyes in the past. Thankfully though, the owner has pulled off the yellow tape that you sometimes get in the corners, because I think everyone always has a good laugh about that. It's good, I guess, if you want to protect it for shipping, right? But on the street, go on, pull that tape off and enjoy the mean, menacing look of that black plastic, it looks like, finished front splitter down below. So they're bringing in all those that airflow towards the intakes, and also the center cooling system right here in the middle behind these massive grills. This meshing, it's all about airflow to be able to feed that much air and combust that much fuel to get this to produce 1,025 horsepower. Let me go ahead and pop the hood actually. I'm a big fan of the laser etched alcohol injected badge right here on the hood to show off what is happening here. Okay, so popping the hood to the Dodge Challenger Demon 170. Here we go, guys. Lifting up the hood. This is such a cool place to be, not only because you have all the cool Easter eggs like the Demon 170 badge right there on top of the Supercharger, but they've changed quite a lot under here. So this is the best technology they have yet in an official muscle car. So right away, most of the primary engine components have been upgraded. The camshaft has stayed the same, that has not changed. The 3-liter Supercharger has been modified. You have a new 3.02-inch pulley with it as well, in a larger snout with throttle body assembly. So altogether, again, it's about upgrading the internals to be able to handle that flex fuel type where you can put on the ethanol mixture or the normal gasoline mixture to make it adapt and go really fast. They need to find out a way to sell this with a warranty. So I would bet the internals, don't quote me though, I would bet the internals on this engine could probably take even more power, because usually what you find with manufacturers is that they can give you, let's say, 1,025 horsepower, or even with Ford and their GT500, you have 760 horsepower. Usually the engines can handle more, but they have to dial it down a little bit because they need to sell this with a warranty, or these things could blow essentially over time. One unique feature that I believe Dodge with their SRT brand is the only one that has this, they can actually use the AC to cool the Supercharger intercooler, meaning you can use and divert the airflow instead of cooling yourself down. Let's cool down the actual workhorse, not you, not the one sitting in the driver's seat relaxing. Let's cool down that whole Supercharger assembly with the intercooler. They can do that with a switch of a button, which is fantastic to hear. I love seeing how this air grabber hood actually feeds air directly to the right here with this big air filter. It's enclosed, a closed box for the airflow coming in. Now, to produce 1,000 horsepower, it's not only about pulling in as much air as possible towards the engine block itself to cool it down, or even internally, but also you need to get more fuel consumption rolling in to be able to combust and make all the power happen. So they've upgraded the fuel rails. You have brand new high flow fuel rails for the engine block itself. It actually is able to push through 164 gallons of fuel per hour at max throttle, which is more fuel than your average US showerhead can actually exert with water during your time taking a shower. Underneath the hood, you'll find your last call plaque, which actually tells you where the vehicle was designed, that being Auburn Hills, Michigan, and assembled in Brampton, Ontario. Okay, here comes the scary part, lowering the hood on the Dodge Challenger Demon 170. I get nervous when I have to drop the hoods of these muscle cars because you're supposed to actually drop it from a height, and I get kind of freaked out when it slams down, but it's meant to do it, so let's do it right now, and it worked just fine. When you look at production numbers, just 3,000 of these will be here in America, and 300 will actually be arriving in Canada. That means a total production run of 3,300 Dodge Challenger Demon 170s. So if you can find one, I'd recommend getting one now, because they're committed to making this for 1 year only. They're not gonna be bringing it back in a year from now and extending it a long ways down the road. If you're a collector, hey, this could be a really good good proposition because, as you know, the vehicles that hold their value usually are the ones that are numbered and they've explicitly stated how many they're making. So just 3,000 in America, I think these are going to be pretty sought after. Let's talk about what's changed on the side of the vehicle. It's similar to the previous Hellcats and even the Demon, but they've changed a few things to maximize performance. Namely, right here on the front fender, there's no more wide body. They're actually saving 16 pounds by removing the Hellcat wide body up front, even the Demon wide body. If you think about it, there's no real need for a wide body in the front end of the vehicle because you don't need extremely wide tires up there. The tires doing all the work for the traction are going to be the rear. It's not like you're steering left or right on the front end either for the track. It's meant to maximize that weight transfer from the front to the back to get the acceleration going forward. So the rear end is what it's all about. The rear suspension, everything has been maximized and revised to give you more traction in the back, especially with the weight transfer from the front to the back with the rebound and compression. So let's talk a bit more about these tires. Coming up closer, these are Mickey Thompson ET Street Rs. You have them both on the front and back. It's an 18-inch wheel up front and a 17-inch wheel out back. So if I go more to the left, it's incredible to see the contact patch because this 315 by 50 by 17 you won't find on any other production car, at least with Mickey Thompson ET Street Rs. For the caliper system, you do have a 4-piston brake caliper up front. You're not chasing lap time, so there's no need to brake extremely hard. This 4-piston brake setup should do the job just fine for going down the drag strip at 151 miles per hour. Interestingly, you get a little piece of factory PPF right here, this film. You can see the seam line to protect the side of your wide body fender from getting rock chips from the front end. So yes, there's factory PPF not only right here, but behind your rear tires as well to protect the paint. It's a pretty cool bragging right the Dodge team has now with this vehicle because they're able to take down what everyone thinks are the fastest cars on the drag strip, that being electric vehicles with a gas-powered muscle car. It's the ultimate bragging right, isn't it? To save weight, you also have the interior seats pulled out for the standard model. In total, you are saving about 157 pounds versus a normal Hellcat wide body, that's a ton. You can get the optional carbon fiber wheels for almost $12,000. It's like $11,995. Incredible how much money they are. They're going to be a 2-piece carbon fiber wheel, something I haven't really seen yet in the industry. Usually I find the 1-piece carbon wheels from, for example, Carbon Revolution. I've had those on a few cars of mine, like the C8 Z06, even the GT500. A lot of like the Ferraris now are getting that option. I love seeing Dodge exploring in the wheel sector because that's rotational mass, and that saves weight even further. Instead of pulling off panels and turning them into carbon fiber, rotational mass helps you more because it's actually a moving weight of inertia that you're dealing with. If you can lower that resistance of stopping and rolling, you're good to go. So in summary then, yes, you still have the wide body out back. You have a suspension revised for drag racing. You have a TransBrake 2.0 configuration, which from what I read from Dodge's media site, it's patent pending. So this is a technology that you can use to really dial in your drag racing setup for launching out of the dig with the torque curve. So you can dial in precisely where you want to be at depending on how sticky and prepped the surface is down below. If it's like this where I can see little rocks and dust move when I kick, obviously you don't want to be high in the RPM for your TransBrake setting to launch. You want to lower that to maximize the best friction you get on this type of a surface. For a really sticky surface, like how they got the 8.91 second quarter mile time, you want to be able to max out that TransBrake setting, obviously to the best of your ability. Furthermore, with the inside software, you can dial in the actual power application through the gears going forward. So the drag systems are incredible with this vehicle, and I can't wait to show you when I get inside. But let me first wrap around to the rear, show you what's going on out here, and then let's get inside. Now here's where it gets interesting because I can't visibly show you too much other than right away you can notice how, well, this rear wing is extending a bit far out to give you an overhang and to give you more stability for a high-speed drag pass. That's good. If you notice, drag cars usually have a rear setup like this for aerodynamics. You can buy an optional parachute, that's right, a parachute out back after the fact, which is really cool to see as an option for people to put on if they want to get around the NHRA ban that you have, because you need a parachute to go sub 9 seconds, and you need a roll cage assembly, which that is also available through Dodge Direct Connection after the fact. Let me talk more about the rear suspension, the geometry, what has happened, because to be able to put down all that power, you would think, I'm gonna break something, right? It's gonna break, something's gonna snap. Well, they've actually improved a lot of the rigidity and structure with the components underneath all this bodywork. So for example, the rear axle is 53% stronger. You have stronger half shafts too. With the new rear driveline setup, you also have a hot isostatic pressing setup, which stands for HIP. Even the prop shaft is 30% stronger. Again, all these upgrades come together to make sure this is a platform that is able to be utilized effectively with a warranty. Getting inside first, I want to hop in the passenger seat because there's a really nice, do I want to call it Easter egg? I want to call it just commemorating feature right here in front of me. So closing the passenger door, directly in front of me, there is the Demon badge, but it has yellow accents to highlight the ethanol injection that you have with the vehicle. But even further, to the right, you get a chassis number, which I love how Dodge did this. This is something more brands should do because it lets you look at your car in the garage and go, that is number 2,000, let's say 900, and I'm the only one with chassis number 2,900, or I'm the only one with chassis number 39. It makes the car more special, I think, down the road, because people can write about the history about each model, or people can understand and recognize one down the line if they sold it. Nonetheless, I love seeing that logo right here on the instrument panel in front of me. The interior is actually pretty good. For being over $100,000, that's a lot of money. You gotta realize it's a lot of money for a Dodge. Yet, I think the team knows this. We don't have the standard cloth interior, which is obviously the standard option, which is no cost. This one has the upgraded $6,000 interior. It's got the red demonic leather all throughout, plus it's got very nice Alcantara on the roofline. You have the Alcantara all over your head. There's one pricey option, which I'm stunned about. I was talking with the owner, Gary, and he has the option of the $10,000 sunroof right here in the middle. I have to manually pull this back, and the sunroof above my head. With my Ford Raptor R, I can't recall how much money it was for the sunroof, but I believe it was less than half the price, if not half the price, and it's massive. It's on a truck. I wonder what went through Dodge's head when they decided that should cost $10,000. I won't complain because I know painted stripes can be $10,000 with Mustangs, and let's just forget about that. That didn't happen. At least he can say he ticked the boxes, got all the boxes, and this is something he has and doesn't have to worry about after the fact getting. Overall, it's very comfortable with these seats. They don't give you the greatest lateral support left and right when it comes to a corner, but you're not meant to be taking this through the corners fast. It's meant to maximize straight line performance, even with the suspension calibration. Same with the tires. You don't want to be tacking the track with drag radials. It doesn't work like that. The sidewall is not meant for that. The sidewall is meant to be able to compress and maximize straight line performance, not the hard stiffness of a Michelin Cup 2, where when you turn in, it gives you the crisp response right away of a fast turn-in. This won't be like that, and it's not supposed to be like that. This has got a mindset where it's not compromised. It's not trying to be compromised. It knows what it wants to do, and it's doing it better than anybody else. Let me go ahead and hop in the driver's seat and Well, let's go through the systems and then take it out for a drive. One other thing I want to point out, I love these Dodge Demon logos right here on the seats. It has the 170 neck tattoo, same with the exterior badges. So it's gonna be the Demon face with the yellow eye to highlight the ethanol. The yellow is pretty much the theme color for the vehicle. And then you have the 170 neck tattoo right there to show off. So check this out. You only get red keys with the Dodge Demon 170. More of the yellow and red theme right there in the middle. Let's go ahead and unlock it and head inside. It's already unlocked, thankfully. There we go. What do you think of this interior right here? Let me go ahead and shut the door to get ready to drive away. Now, right there in the middle, it says brake plus the start button will turn on the vehicle itself. I'm a big fan of all the chrome or metal looking finishes all over this steering wheel right here in front of me. You do have the standard paddle shifters that you're used to with the Hellcat models, even the jail brakes. But looking to the right, what do you notice right here? Well, you get tons of carbon fiber all throughout the dash. You have a Harman Kardon sound system for the vehicle itself. I wish the materials were a bit higher quality. You have some plastics around. I love the rear seat delete. It's really cool to see them save weight behind you by pulling out those seats. Let me go ahead and start up this beast so we hear what it sounds like. Wow, it sounds pretty good. I'm a really big fan of all the carbon fiber you have down below. And in the middle, this is where you'll find your climate controls. I'm gonna turn them down for now so you can hear me better. You have heat and cool, plus front and rear defrosters on the left, and then recirculation on the right. Above that, this is where you'll find your performance setting. Now, on the left side for the infotainment system to mute it, the middle is your hazards, and then the far right, it's to turn off the screen. But this middle row right here is my favorite row because it has those drag racing features. So on the far left, you have your SRT button. If I hit it, it'll enable your SRT preferences for the modes. Right here, you can control your engine holding RPM. So if you want to lower it or raise it depending on the drag surface you are currently driving on, you have that customization right here in front of you. To the left, you can control your shift lights, your chiller feature. This will use the AC controls to cool down the Supercharger intercooler for a hot day and continuing runs. Plus, you have activation for line lock. Hit this button, it'll lock your front brakes so you can spin the rear tires freely to warm them up in the water box section of a drag strip. Or if you just want to light them up to show off what you can do, all conditions must be met before activating a cool down. Let's hit the system details for that. So this will show us the IC temp, meaning the ambient temp, the target temperature. Right now it's a bit warm. Outside it's cool, it's 68 degrees outside, but this technology is incredible. Tell me one drag car out there that you can build that has this level of connectivity and features like this on a high quality display. It's incredible what you can do with this out of the box. But if I hit this eye icon for more information, raise cool down feature allows you to cool the engine between runs with the engine off. It is optional for cooling to keep the hood closed. The feature can be enabled but not active if one of the main preconditions is not met. Hood ajar will deactivate the feature but keep the cool down timer effective. It makes sense. It's trying to use the cooling systems of the vehicle effectively. Let's continue to check out the next button, which is the launch control button. So hitting that one time, it says launch control unavailable. It would want your foot all the way to the floor with the brake, and you can dial in that launch setting again. We're not going to do it because we're on the street. We're not on an actual prep drag strip. Let's go ahead and turn on the TransBrake feature right here. So clicking it one time what do we have going on? That is cool. Like I mentioned outside, you can customize your launch torque and your shift torque for your desired settings. You can actually save a memory configuration on the right side. To my left, we have launch control maxed out at 2400, but I can lower that and watch what happens. It's going straight down and then straight up high, letting you know effectively where you will be at the second that it launches. This is incredible. If I were to look at the shift torque, if I click on the right-hand side, it'll show me a display per shift. And this again can be customized for different shift events depending on the surface. It's all about managing the relationship of friction and the power you're putting down. So the team here, they definitely know exactly what they're talking about. And let's turn traction all the way off, huh? Let's do that. Hold it, hold it. Is it gonna turn off? Come on. Oh, electronic stability control is disengaged. Click and hold. On the TransBrake info page, it tells you this allows you to configure torque delivery while using the TransBrake feature. Available torque is the blue line, and it's based on environmental conditions, fuel present, and configured launch RPM. Driver desired torque, which is the red line, shows the current configuration for launch and shift torque. The lower these curve values at each time will be delivered. 3 memory configurations allow for varying conditions. One can be default for high grip, one could be medium grip, and one is low grip. Currently, it is defaulted to the factory settings of A is the highest grip possible for the fastest times, and then C is going to be for a very low grip drag surface with optimum fuel. Ideally, I think you'd maybe be using B the most unless you are in the perfect conditions to utilize A and C. Shift light is turned off. Let's turn the shift light on, shall we? Let's quickly just go through this display. You do have the SRT drive modes. To my left, you can choose how much horsepower you have. So you have ethanol detected. The red key is enabled because this only comes with red keys. Right now we have the transmission on the street setting, which you can choose to put the transmission in drag mode. You can choose to put the paddle shifters on or off. You can have street traction or drag traction, street or drag suspension, and finally street or drag steering. Very minimal with the options here because, hey, they're not worried about wet mode in this beast. For the suspension going in drag mode, it's going to allow more for that weight transfer to happen. For the drag transmission settings, it will allow for more of the brutal upshifts and etc. Everything changes to give you optimum performance with feedback. For the climate controls, it's pretty standard. You have a mirror dimming feature, also heated and cooled seats. I don't know why the heater is on because it's pretty hot outside. Let me turn that off. Let me turn on actually the vented seats and turn off the heated steering wheel. At least if a heated steering wheel in an 8-second drag car, that's pretty cool, isn't it? You have the standard AC control systems. And then finally for media, you can connect with Bluetooth or use Sirius XM. I think my favorite page though is going to be performance because you can see in the moment where your timers are for going down the drag strip. You can see what your recent tests were, what your best were. So far, best quarter mile has been a track speed of 47 miles per hour and 17 seconds. He hasn't ran it yet. Let's see the G-force. So this can hit over 2 Gs of acceleration, specifically 2.04 Gs at maximum acceleration out of the dig, 2.004 Gs. This is a pretty cool circular optimum performance gauge, which tells you your power application, your boost pressure, which is blue right there in the middle. So the power can be all the way up to almost 1,000 on the right side, actually past 1,000. It says 1,100, which this doesn't make 11 horsepower, but it would probably rest right around here. Pretty similar to the dyno graph, which will actually be utilized in the moment. So if I barely touch the throttle, see how it goes up? It's showing you what the engine powertrain is actually doing. Finally, in front of us with this front driver display, this instrument cluster is similar to all the other models that you find on the streets. You can go through different driver settings in the middle of the cluster to see gauges or stored messages. And MPG so far, he's been getting 9.4. That's not too bad, but maybe let's not stare at the gas mileage and let's stare at the best performance settings that you have, like speed, so you have battery voltage, oil life, oil pressure, oil temp, trans temp, coolant temp, tire pressure, which is pretty high. You want to lower that for the drag strip, maybe around 18 PSI, don't quote me. You have IC coolant temp, boost pressure, air fuel ratio, and then engine power. Ooh, I like that. Let's leave that one on for our drive. So let's pop it into drive and let's see what it's like. Okay, let's do it, guys. Let's go into drive, and I'll leave it on automatic right now. Getting behind the wheel, right now we are in the 900 horsepower calibration, meaning it doesn't sense the proper amount of E85 in the fuel mixture to give us more power. You can always kind of hear this whine in my F-150 Raptor R with a supercharger. I don't hear the whine very much at all. Even with my GT500s I owned in the past, I didn't hear it. My Super Snake, I could hear the whine, but that was with a 2014 Shelby GT500. Wow, those pops are really fun to listen to. Oh my gosh. Wow. That sounds and that feels good. Let me roll up the right window a little bit so we can hear more of the exhaust noise from the left-hand side without wind. Oh, that's fun. Oh, I love the noise. We got a Hemi, baby, a Hemi. So, for having 900 horsepower, this is very streetable. If I roll up the left window, yeah, it's gonna get dark in here, so just bear with me. But just driving normally like this, the car is comfortable. It's not beating me up whatsoever. Let me fix the rear mirror. It's really not even coming off like it's an all-out race car when I'm just smoothly driving with the transmission. Sometimes these vehicles can feel very jumpy with the throttle response or the braking input. When you touch the pedal, it's too responsive. It's just, you feel like you're flying forward with the front end clamping down. But thankfully with this, you could drive this to Cars and Coffee like no problem. You can daily drive this. It's not beating me up, and it's gonna be like this because to drag race, you don't want the stiffest suspension possible. You want a very plush suspension that allows for weight transfer, because like right now I'm at around 1700 RPM. If I barely hit the throttle and go to, let's say, 35, wow, that is so fun. Right now it says we're only using, what, 30 horsepower? Unbelievable. It's just smooth. It's very smooth. It's violent, but it's smooth. The suspension is blowing me away right now. And then when you're ready, get to the drag strip, turn on your TransBrake 2.0 feature, dial everything in, and go for it. Because literally, it feels like it can have a split personality, where when you get it ethanol injected with E85, this thing is turned into an animal. But then when you want it to be, not as crazy, it's still a demon, of course, on the street. Hop inside, put in pump gas, go to a car meet, or just drive to the drag strip. It won't beat you up. That's my takeaway. The technology of how they've blended in the fastest performance ever, yet the all-around craft of a Challenger on the street. Let's go into drag mode. Power, 900 horsepower, drag transmission, drag traction, and drag suspension. So right away, the steering calibration has changed. You see how much input I'm giving in? It's doing that because when you're going very fast, close to 150 miles an hour in a quarter-mile drag strip, you don't want to put in any miscalculation with the steering wheel, okay? All the weight's shooting backwards, right? Because it's lifting up with the weight transfer to give you that front end lift and rear grip. Any, let's say, mess ups that you can have with hitting the steering wheel in an accident because all the G-forces, that can hurt you. So by loosening up the calibration, the vehicle itself will be more stable. The stability is what it's all about. For the track, what brands do is they stiffen up electronic steering racks to also try to reduce any accidental inputs from G-forces. This makes it so that I can turn the wheel, obviously, but it's not doing much. I have the wheel clocked, what, 5 degrees, and I'm barely, it's just now starting to go, which is interesting. I haven't seen many calibrations like that before. Well, let me go ahead and give it a slight, just pull on the throttle a little bit, and let's see how it comes together, shall we? So let's, ho-ho! Wow! Let's pop it into manual mode by pushing right, or left, I mean, on the transmission selector. Wow! That's incredible! This thing has got punch, guys! It's got punch! I'm taking it very easy, and when you just hit the gas pedal at right around 3,000 RPM, you can notice the entire vehicle just responds so fast. There's no delay. There's no delay with the power application. It's just gonna be, I think, a fun vehicle to cruise around sub 5,000 RPM, sub 4,000 RPM, because you just hear that whistle, that whine at all times. Obviously, we're not going to do anything crazy. We're on the street. This can go to 150 miles an hour in about 9 seconds. It's unbelievable. It's very fast, and it's a brand new car. So we want to take a few steps back and I want to show you what it's like on a day-to-day drive in this environment. And just cruising right now, it's smooth. It's not beating me up. And then when we want to get on power, it'll adapt accordingly. So you know what? Let me go ahead and turn left, and let's go back on a straightaway again, just to feel it out. Turning radius, very well. It's very smooth with the turning radius. For having a curb weight of 4,280 pounds or so, it doesn't feel like a heavy brick per se. It feels like it's able to manage its weight very well for the power. And I think having more weight like this is actually helping for grip out of the dig, because more sitting mass on those tires is more force to push down on, and having all that weight transfer back lets you accelerate even harder. At a dig, for it to go 0 to 60 as fast as it does, I believe this vehicle, you're gonna feel all the rush of 2Gs, specifically at a dig, a launch where there's a prepped surface and you're digging your way out. That is when you're gonna feel all the weight transfer with these Mickey Thompson ET Street Rs. On a regular day-to-day driving environment, yeah, you're gonna get a ton of Gs, more than any other performance vehicle on the road, really, but it's not gonna be to the same level because you need a specific environment to appreciate what it can do. This guy's got full flags on his pickup truck. That's very funny. We have a Mustang behind us, a classic Mustang. Wow. The performance is just blowing me away. I think traction control is going to be kicking on to a very high degree on the street, meaning you won't be noticing slippage, I don't think, because the grip is there with the tires, but it'll be limiting power much more than completely off, because it's trying to take that extra edge of let's make it more safe when the driver acknowledges that traction is on. When it's off, hey, let's just throw everything at. You want everything? Just take it. Just take it all. That was a downshift to a little over 3,000 RPM. Unreal, guys. Downshift again. Oh my gosh, this is fun. Yeah, if you got one of these coming, you're gonna enjoy it. It's a different vehicle. I think it's a special one, and something to keep. Major congratulations to Gary for his brand new Dodge Demon 170. It sounds incredible, it feels incredible. You can easily drive this every day on the street, have a blast, but then drop it down a few gears and then just let it rip. I think he's gonna be very happy with this vehicle. Anyways, let's head back to where we started this video and let me give my final impressions. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up my time with the Dodge Demon 170. Now, you guys know on this channel, I've come from a muscle car heavy background. I used to have a Super Snake with 1,000 horsepower, and well, getting in this car, just seeing it out here and knowing what it can do, This is such a beautiful send-off for the gas-powered vehicles. It gives us pride, those of us who are very enthusiastic about gas-powered cars, it gives us the pride knowing that we can take down the electric vehicles at the drag strip still. I really do think this is basically the best muscle car of all time, meaning for what a muscle car is, they are dedicated, straight-line performers. We're not talking about vehicles that are diving into the European space of road courses. No, this is focused. It's got a pure mindset to be the fastest muscle car in a straight line, and it is that. So I really am a big fan of this vehicle, and yes, I think it is the greatest muscle car of all time. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button. It really does help me out, and subscribe for much for great content coming out your way. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any videos coming out. Also, again, check out the owner's information if you want to follow them on social media. I'll have it floating on the screen right now and in the description down below. Hope you enjoyed watching the video. Let me know your thoughts. Have you enjoyed watching this Demon 170, and what do you think of what this means for the future? Thanks again. I'll see you in the next one.